All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our session today. Again, it's the third day of the Microsoft Excel for Beginners sessions, the second cohort of this particular program. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's been a part of this journey so far. Hopefully, at the end, you would have gained so much, and you can be better off than when we first started. My name is Fumito, like I always say, and yeah, I'm an educator and IT enthusiast, and I love data. So that's just about me. So I'm going to take us to uh, our learning outcomes for today. Just a second. So today we are going to be looking at a couple of things. So we're going to be looking at basic functions. We're going to be looking at logical functions, nesting functions, and hopefully, if time permits, I would introduce pivot tables and pivot charts. I hope you enjoy yourself. Before we dive in, I would want to know if anybody has any questions from the last class. Isabel, were you able to try out your hands on what I suggested last week?
Yes, hi everyone. Yes, I tried to go through and to what is it? Yeah, I tried to go through everything, so I'm now okay with it.
Would you say you were successful with it?
Yes, I was.
All right, great to know. So I'm going to share the link for today's session, where to start from. Just give me a second. Let me grab the link. I'm going to be sharing it in the chat right away. I'll also put it in the video for those of you that will be watching, that might want to watch later, so you can also download it straight from the video link when I upload it later in the day. So yeah, there it is. So today we are going to be continuing with where we stopped in terms of if conditions, and then we are going to be doing some nesting. Hopefully, I hope I don't confuse you. Yeah. All right. So this is what we have in front of us today. We have the same spreadsheet we started with last week. So if you remember, last week we had filled in these 3 columns, right? Where we started with function. So if, or, and, and then we were able to determine these conditions. So before we go to nested ifs, I would quickly want to look at some other functions we're supposed to look at last week, but we did not look at. So like minimum, maximum, average, count, and the likes. So yeah, if you can see the table we have here, there is an average here. So let's say you're interested in knowing what is the average mathematics score? What does the average for every student in the class for mathematics, let's say for instance, there's a function known as average. And please, if you think I'm too fast, feel free to take me back a bit. So average. All I need to just do is just, once I've clicked in the formula, I just need to drag my data. So I'm going to drag from the start up until the end. This is the end. And click on enter. So now, yeah, we can see D32 to D33. So this is supposed to end at D33. So yeah, we can say that the average score for mathematics is 49. Then let's see if we're interested in knowing which students scored the highest maximum. There's a function called max. Same thing, I would just highlight the column, and then we can see for maths, the maximum score was 99. Let's do the same thing for minimum for mathematics. The minimum the student with the least score had 9. Now, I want to count the the number of students, right? So the next thing to do is to so these are the students, so we can see the students here are in column B. So I'm interested in knowing, okay, so how many students sat for this exam? There's a count function. But then there is also a count A function or counter function. Now, let's see the difference between the two. So if I decide to put count, and then I highlight the students up until the end, let's see. So you see that I have 0. And why is that? The count function only works with numbers. So if you are interested in counting values, you need to use what is called counter function. So this is, so you can see counter from B3, which is where the name of the student starts, up until B33. So we have 31 students in the class. All right, then count males. Does anybody want to help me with this? So how do we, can you guys hear me? Someone is saying they can't hear anything.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. So yeah, does anybody want to help me with how do we count the number of males here? Anybody? Anybody help me? So if I'm interested in knowing, okay, so how many males are in this class? If you don't want to talk, you can just drop the formula. You can just type in the chat box. Let's see. So how do we count the number of males? Anybody? Sammy, are you on the call? Do you want to help us out? It doesn't look like anybody is ready to talk. So let's, I'm going to, so to count the number of males, conditional formula, right? So if you look in column C contains the sex. So how do you count the number of males? You use what is called a count if statement. So in Excel, if you type count, you see that a number of things that come up, and then you see one of them is count if, right? So now, if you are counting for just one, if what you are trying to count is based on just one criteria, you use the count if statement. But if you are counting based on multiple criteria, you use what? Ifs, count ifs. So we also look at an example of count ifs. So now count if, sorry, so I'll put count if. Now, what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to select the column. Now, if you look at the how the count is defined, you see count if there is a range, then there's a criteria, meaning that you need to pass in two things. You need to pass in a range of where you are interested in, and then the criteria. So the range here is the sex, which is column C, and then I'm going to put a comma, and then I'll put male. So that means count every cell in column C that contains the value male. and then you can see it has given me 17. For female is exactly the same thing. Count if column C is female. I hope that is clear, Sammy. Hope that's clear now. So you can see it's pretty simple. And these are the formulas that help you really analyze it. And most of the time when you're analyzing it, that is these little formulas that really make the work easy for you. So I'm going to go down to the table. Now you will see something here. Distinction, fail, pass. Then you see another thing, female, male. So basically what we are trying to do here is that we are trying to count based on 2 criteria. So you see, we want to know how many females failed, how many females had distinctions, how many females passed. The same thing with males, how many males had distinctions, how many males failed, how many males passed. So for that kind of thing, where you have more than 1 criteria, you use a count if statement. It's the same idea, only that instead of passing 1 criteria, you have to pass in 2 criteria. So I'm going to use just to, so you can see count ifs, and then when you look at the formula explanation, you see criteria, range, criteria, range. So criteria range 1, criteria 1, and then so on and forth. You see that dot basically means and so on and so forth. So we're going to try to solve that. I'm trying to expand my screen so it's more legible. It doesn't look like it's working. So now what we're interested in is we're trying to find how many females add a distinction. So the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to pass in this column, which is the first criteria, and then I'm going to put female, comma, then you can see it has expanded, criteria range 2. And then what I want to do is I want to see who add distinction. Okay, we've not gotten there actually. So let's just put for fail, right? So we are going to put for fail. So this column, I'm going to pass this column because it contains fail. So we are going to pass in this column, and then I'm going to pass in fail. So count ifs column C is female and column G is fail. So when I pass enter, you can see that I have 7 females who had failure. So this is for failure. This is not for distinction actually. So so we are going to come back to the distinction part after we have done the other part of today's class. So let's do the same thing for pass. So now instead of pass, here we are going to have instead of fail here, we'll have pass. You can see count ifs, the difference between this and count if. Let's do the same thing for males. I'm interested in knowing the number of males who failed. So here I'm going to change this to male. I'm also and then male. So yeah, we have this. So we'll come back to the distinctions part. This is where we are going to know who had distinctions and who had pass and fail. So let's see. So if you look here, column J, what we have to do is that we are supposed to put grade for each student. Now you will see I put a note here. So there are 4 things. If a student has between 0 and 39, you must give him fail. If he has between 40 and 59, you give him pass. If he has between 60 and 100, you give him distinction. If he has above 100, then it's an invalid score. But you notice that this is for maths. So what I'm going to do here is, this is introducing us to nested functions. And what is a nested function? It basically means when you have a function inside another function. So that's what is known as nesting. It's a popular concept in programming. If there's anyone here who is probably a programmer or has interest in programming, so it's a popular concept where you use the output of a function as the input for another function. Now, how do we go about this? It's very, very critical that you think through. So you see, this means there are 4 conditions between 0 and 39. That means less than 39 and less than 39. Between 40 and 59, that means 59 and less than 59. Between 60 and 100, that means 100 and less. Then we also have above 100. So how do we do that? The first thing we have to do here is put the same conditional if. Now, notice we are doing this for mathematics. If D2, which is the first candidate, is less than or equal to 39, we are going to give him a fail, or give him or her a fail. We don't know. So yeah, okay, this is male. Fail. Now, normally, an if statement is complete like this. So you can see this person failed. But let's assume this person, like, take for instance, now this person had 55. This, if you put, if you drag this formula to the person that had 55, so you can see you have a false, meaning that this statement is not true. So how do you take care of something like that? That means you need to put another statement. If now the next criteria is that, let's open the note, as between 40 and 59. Now, this particular statement needs you to use another function. Basically, you need to combine like, if you have, somebody can have above 40 and you can also have below 59. So basically, you need to use an and. I don't know if that makes sense. So we are going to need to put an and. So if you remember, an and function takes 2 logical statements. Now, I want to know if this D2 is greater than 40. Please, if you are confused, let me know. And it's less than or equal to 59. Putting an error. So let's close this and whether if. Logical test. Formula Sorry, I'm going to need to rewrite this formula. Now, this is the problem with nesting. If you are not careful, you would always end up like this. You will always have issues like this. So yeah, value if true, if is less than or equals to 39, give this person a fail. So this is the value if true. Otherwise, if 2 is less than, let me not use the and 59, and pass. Otherwise, yeah, I think we have this right. Please, are we following? Some people might look lost. So let's see how this goes. So now we see that this person has passed. So what did I do here? Is there anybody that's not clear about what I've just done here? So I want to go through the formula one after the other so that we are not lost. Does everybody get what I've just done here? So I need responses. So I know I'm not just talking to myself.
Can you please repeat that?
Yeah.
Can you repeat it, please?
Okay, the formula. So I'm coming. Just a second. Okay, so we have a case of there are 4 conditions we want to write. First condition is if a candidate has between 0 and 39, we want to fail them. Then if a candidate has between 40 and 59, we want to pass them. If they have between 60 and 100, we want to give them distinction. Anything above 100 is invalid. So the first part is this if it's less than, right? If it's less than 39, right? Fail. So first understand this syntax. The syntax of the formula is if logical test, value if true, value if false. So we'll have this here. D3 is less than or equal to 39, fail the candidate. But if D3 is greater than 39, that means it's maybe 40 and above. Then we need to now pass in another if statement, because now we're interested in if D is between 40 and 59. So that's why we have this D2 less than 59 here, which is pass. Now the next statement is if D2 is less than 100, distinction. Less than or equal to, actually, because 100 is inclusive. Same thing here. Okay. So yeah, we have for distinction too. Now, the last one is B2 is greater than 100, then we want invalid. Yeah, we've gotten our formula, and this is the formula. So I'm going to explain it again so that we don't look lost. This is the part where Excel begins to get very interesting. So you can see now this distinction here, this person has 88. So this is a distinction. So I'm going to change this to 111 just for illustration. And then we'll see what happens. 111. This is not supposed to be passed. Is not wrong. Right, formula 8, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Why is this? Okay, so this is where the problem is. This is where the problem is. This should be D3. Please, I need feedback. I'm assuming everybody understands. So if nobody draws me back, I'm going to just keep talking. So please, if you have any issues, please unmute and explain again. So yeah, you can see now what has happened there is that I was mixing cell numbers. So now we can see when I change this to 111, this becomes invalid because we have told it that if it's above 100, they make it invalid. So this is what is known as nesting. So basically, you are taking formula, putting another formula inside another formula. Any questions? Any questions so far? So now, this is basically the same thing we'll do here. I'm just going to copy this formula. What I'm going to just change now is that so I don't even need to change anything. So now you would see that Excel automatically did referencing for me. So you see this was column D. If D3 less than or equals to 39, and so on and so forth. Now, immediately I copied that formula here. It changed from D to E. This was something we were trying to explain last week. I explained this last week about referencing, that Excel automatically assumes referencing, automatically assumes, relative references. So now what has happened here is that this column D, what was column D here? You copy the formula to the right, it automatically changes. So you can see this has changed to E, which is for English, and then you can see that this has also changed to F, which is for geography. So that is what is known as relative referencing. And I'm going to do flash filling now. Going to do flash fill. So, fill down. I'm not sure why that's not working. Oh. So yeah, we can see when we drag down. Okay, this is why it's not working. So you can see that our question, our grades are showing up. So you can see for this one now, this person had an invalid score, invalid. So let's change this back to 11, which it was before. So now you see immediately we change this to 11. This has gone back to fail. Any questions? Are we still clear? Anybody have any questions? Please feel free to ask if you are not clear at this point. Okay, I would assume we are all fine. So that's it with ifs count, we've looked at this. So now we've also looked at this. We've also done nesting. So now we're going to look at pivot tables. We're going to go to pivot tables today. Hopefully we have enough time to get to that. Yeah, before we do that, let us finally do that final distinction question. So now you see here, for female, we want to know the number of females that add distinction in mathematics. So we'll go back to count ifs, which was what we did earlier. Count ifs. Now we want to count distinction. Count if this is a distinction. Then we want to know if it's a female. So yeah, we want to pass in this this column and then female. So how many females add distinctions? So here we have J2 just to be. Now I didn't get my distinction right. Distinction. So yeah, we have 3 females with distinction in mathematics. So now we are going to do for males. All right. So we can see 3 females add distinctions, 10 males add distinctions. So it's the same idea for all these. Female, male, count of mathematics. So how many people failed maths? How many people passed maths? So now I want us to do this in our spare time. As you know, just practice. Just try and fill out all these other tables here. Then we'll go to the next tab, which is we're going to be looking at pivot tables. Does anybody know what a pivot table is? Anybody that can that has maybe used it before and can just briefly tell us what a pivot table does? Anybody? Isabel, do you want to help us?
I think it's used to calculate. A pivot table is used to calculate and analyze data. Calculate or analyze data.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Yeah, it's used for analysis. So we are already digging into analysis to an extent. So yeah, pivot tables are used for summarizing data, for analyzing data, and just basically making a very large data set look more summarized, if I could use that word again. So yeah, we have this data set here for computer sales, and what we are trying to do is basically we'll try to analyze and see what we can get out of this data. Of course, this is a very small data, so yeah. But in real, when you are doing real analysis, most of the time your data will be like thousands and thousands of rows that you'll be analyzing. So it will be a lot more. You see the use more when you have a lot of data. But yeah, for examples, this is just a very small table we use for our pivots. Now, typically, I like to, every time I'm going to start introducing us to the idea of tables. A table is basically a structured rectangular array of data. And in Microsoft Excel, when you are working, or as a matter of fact, anytime you're analyzing, try to work, especially in Excel or Google Sheets, try to work with tables. They make your work a lot easier. So if you see here, insert table. So what I want to do is I want to name my data. I want to give it a table. So I want to convert it to a table. So I'm going to say computer sales. I'm going to call that table computer sales. Comp sales, that's what I'm going to create table. So I'm going to select the data again. Create table. Yes. Auto filters. Okay, yeah. So there's an auto filter here. Let me remove that. So let's go back again. You cannot, there's a shortcut, you can do Control T for it. Yeah, so now you can see the look. So now I'm going to call this computer sales. That's going to be the name of my table. Of course, I don't like this design. So I'm going to change it to something that's a little more eye friendly. Sorry, just want to, I want those headings to be very visible. Into something that has good contrast. Okay, let's just leave it as it is. Yeah. Now, what's a pivot table? It's a summary table, like I said, allows you to analyze data. So now in Excel, how do you work with pivot tables? You select your table and then you click on insert. So now if you see, the first thing you have here is pivot table. From table or range from data source. So I'm going to use the from table or range. Now you can see it has automatically selected the computer sales table for me. I want the pivot table to live in this same Excel sheet. So I'm going to click on existing worksheet. There's an option to add this to the data model. You can do this if you have more than one pivot table you want to analyze. Data modeling is a more advanced topic. That's if you're interested in, you can reach out for we can make an arrangement to to how you can learn data modeling. But yeah, that's beyond the scope of today's course. So yeah, I'm going to click on an existing worksheet. Now, if you look at this, it brings out a field like a field pane. Yes, a field pane here, right? And then you will see filters, columns, rows, values. For beginners, this is often the most difficult part of a pivot table. Knowing, okay, so which one is column, which one is filter, which one is row, which one is value. How does that make how do you know which one is which? Well, for a start, I would say trial and error. Most of the time, when you are trying out pivot tables for the first time, you just be doing you have an idea of what you want to do, and then you just do trial and error. So, but let's say for the purpose of our class, we are interested in we want to know, so what is the total price, right, of computers by brand. So let's say I'm interested in, okay, so we can see different brands here, Dell, Toshiba, Microsoft. So let's say I'm interested in knowing that, okay, for all Dell, what is the total price? That means basically how much sales did they make? That's the kind of thing you use a pivot table for. So immediately I click on create pivot table. So I'm interested in two things. I've already mentioned them: the brand and then the price. That's how much it costs to, how much they sold it. So now you see, I'm going to click on computer brand. By default, Excel will attempt to put it where it should be. It will try to guess, okay, where does this go? And then depending on the data type, you can decide that you want to change it. So yeah, but Excel would by default try to give you, okay, this is where I think this should be. So I'm interested in the computer model. I'm interested in the price. So the moment I put price, you can see it has done some sort of aggregation. And then you see it put it under values. Sum of price. Basically, what this has just done is that it has analyzed this entire table based on the computer brand. So you will see now that whereas in this table you have, I think you have about 3 or 4 Acer brands, but here you see just one Acer. And then what has happened here, it has summed all the prices. So let's say, for instance, I want to do filtering. Let's say I want to do a manual filtering, right? This is another way to quickly analyze data, just using filters. So you can see Acer, price. You can see sum 3150, right? So this is a quick way to analyze data using quick filters. But yeah, that's not what I'm interested in. You see, what this has done here is that it has done my analysis for me. Now, let's say I'm not interested in the price. I'm actually interested, I'm not interested in the sum. I'm interested in the average. So I can do, I'll click on this little button here. I'll click value field settings. This will now allow me to change what I'm interested, what I want to do. So let's say I'm interested in count or average or minimum or maximum, then or products. This is the beauty of filter of pivot chart. It allows you quickly do summaries and analyze. So now let's say I'm interested also in the, not just in the brand now, I'm also interested in the model. I can also click on model, right? Now, if I click on model, what happens is it now does a bit of aggregation again. So now you see that, let me put this as sum. Let's say I'm interested in the count, not even the sum. Let's say I'm interested in count, not just sum. So now you see that for Acer, now what happens is, if you look at the pane, this pane here, you see there's row, there's column, there's values. Basically, the rows mean anything you put in this row here, anything you put here is going to be in rows. It's going to be arranged in rows. Anything you put here is going to be arranged in columns. Anything you put here is for aggregation. So in this particular column, in this values pane, you can only put numerical, something that allows you to do aggregation. So something you can do sum, you can do count. That's the only thing you can put in value. So that's why you see this sign here, because it's mathematical in nature. So now, let's say, let's take this back here, because oftentimes columns can extend like till forever. Let's now see. We've sold Acer computers. We've sold one Aspire, we sold one Predator, we sold one Swift. For Apple, we sold iMac, we sold Mac Mini. Now, you can see that for someone that does sales, this is a very useful tool. When you have hundreds of thousands of rows of sales, doing this at one glance gives you a summary of your sales. This is how pivot tables work. The same way with pivot charts. It's the same idea. Yeah, please. I think I was lost for a minute. I didn't realize that my network went off. Please confirm where where you stop hearing me so that I can I know how to piggyback. Anybody? Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? Please. I think I just realized that my network was off, but I had no idea where I stopped. Yeah, where did I stop? Where did you stop hearing me?
You were still explaining the pivot tables.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that a pivot table might not look like a lot because our data set is very small. But when you have large data sets, say you have 100,000 rows, you would be happy for a tool like this because it makes your life easy. It helps you drill down, drill into your data very easily. So I'm interested in, for instance, black refurbished laptops only. You can see, all I just need to do is just use that field as a filter. And then it does everything for me. So now if I click new and refurbish, so let's say for colors now, I want all. Okay. It automatically brings everything back. So pivot tables are super powerful. I'm interested. Let's say I only want I want by brand, but I'm interested in actual cost. I'm interested in some. So I want to know, okay, how much sales have we made by what's the bills? And then you can rename this field. Name this field. So I can do a brand, and also here I can total sales. I can rename this. Yes. Of course, I can change this to $96. Sure what's wrong with this network today.